Coming up on this edition of Living Blind with Cory Jackson, we are in the kitchen once again. The holidays are near, and I'm going to show you how to make a pumpkin roll. Why don't you join me? We're going to have a great time. I always love joining you all in the kitchen to make great recipes. And baking season is here. Thanksgiving's coming up. Christmas will be coming up. So it's time to make all of those wonderful holiday goodies that we all love to eat. Even if we're not supposed to, we still love to eat them. And you would not believe how easy it is to make this pumpkin roll. A lot of people do extra things. For example, laying out dish towels and sprinkling powdered sugar on it. But I recently learned that that is not something that you have to do. So I'm going to show you how I make a pumpkin roll, and you can improvise and do it however you want. But this is the way that we like them. For the cake, you will need 3 eggs, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2/3 cup of pure pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, just pure pumpkin, 3/4 cup of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and I like to take a shortcut and use the pumpkin pie spice, and I use about 1.5 teaspoons of that, but you can adjust that based on taste. So I'm going to start out by preparing my 3 eggs here. I'm going to crack them into a bowl. We just lay these shells out of our way for now. Make sure we don't get any shells in there. You know, now we don't use fresh farm eggs or anything like that, but have you all ever heard of anyone using fresh eggs that actually cracked an egg that had like part of a baby chick in it? That's never happened to me, but like I say, we don't use fresh eggs. Wouldn't that be disgusting though? That'd be horrible. But anyway, we're just gonna beat these up a little bit. Not much, just a little bit, because they're a very important part of the cake. The eggs are what helps to bind the cake together. So we've got that in there. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna reach over here and we are going to pick up our 1 cup of granulated sugar and add that in. And we're just gonna beat this around a minute until that's all incorporated very well. Now to that, we are going to add in, and this is something I have not pre-measured, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So, I'm doing the blind thing here. You can see me feeling around for my vanilla. I know it's here. Oh, I found it. So we're going to add a teaspoon of that. And what I do with my teaspoon, here it is. Very carefully, we'll measure out our teaspoon of vanilla. We got it. Into our egg mixture it goes. And we'll go ahead and mix that in real well. That ought to do it. And at this point, we are going to go ahead and add in our 2/3 cup of pumpkin. And I have that measured out here already. In it goes. And once again, we'll mix that in really good. Y'all won't believe how easy this is. So I hope once you watch this video that you make a pumpkin roll and report back to me how it came out. So let's go ahead and assemble our dry ingredients. So over here I have measured out 3/4 cup of flour, which I'll add to another bowl here, my dry ingredients. And I cheated a little bit before I joined you all. I pre-measured my salt, my baking powder, my baking soda, and my pumpkin pie spice. That's one thing I use in here, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the ingredients or not, but I'll list them all in the description. Instead of using just cinnamon and all that kind of stuff, I take a shortcut and I buy pumpkin pie spice. And I add about 1.5 teaspoons of that, and you can kind of adjust that to your liking. So in this little cup right here, I have my salt, my baking soda, my baking powder, and my pumpkin pie spice. And I'm just going to add that in here to my 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. That saved a lot of time, didn't it? And now I'm going to take a fork and just kind of fluff this flour mixture up a little bit so that it has some air in it. I could take time and do the whole sifting the flour, but I don't want to do all that today. I don't want to make it that complicated. So we're just going to take this fork and mix this all together really well. And now we're going to take this flour mixture and add it in with our wet ingredients. It's all in there. And we're just going to take this whisk and mix it all together. So this will take me a minute to get it all mixed up, but I'll be right back. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is get yourself a 10 by 15 inch baking sheet. They say jelly roll pan, but I honestly have no clue what the difference is between a jelly roll pan and a baking sheet. So I've done that, and I have covered it up with a piece of parchment paper. Now, a lot of people say put wax paper down, make sure you spray it really well and flour it so nothing sticks. You don't need to do all that. If you use parchment paper, nothing will stick in this pumpkin roll. And like I think I mentioned earlier, you can eliminate laying out that towel and putting that powdered sugar down on it and transferring this pumpkin roll from this paper to that towel. You're not going to need to do it if you use parchment paper. You'll see here as we do this. Now, this part, as a blind person, is probably, in my opinion, the hardest part of making these, is getting this batter on this sheet and getting it spread out the way it needs to be. You want to make sure that your parchment paper is not crinkled up at all. So I'm going ahead and I'm just going to put this all in one place, right in the middle here. And then I'm going to take my spoon and spread it out. And you don't want to bounce the sheet like you would a regular cake, because you'll have stuff all over the place. But this is, this batter is a little thick, so it doesn't spread real easily, but it'll do okay. So I'm going to take my spoon here, the back of my spoon, and kind of paint a picture with it and spread it out the best I can. And again, make sure your parchment paper is not wrinkled up or anything. So at this point, I'm going to very carefully, and I got a little bit on the end of this parchment paper, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just going to kind of shake this pan back and forth to try to get this all spread out. And like I say, this part is a little tricky. And I still have work to do. So I'm going to take my spoon and I'm very carefully. Now I'm fortunate that I have Jen who can look at this when I'm all done and perfect it if I don't happen to get it spread evenly enough. But I think we're going to be able to do okay. And will I get some on my fingers? Of course I will. Will you get some on your fingers? If you're blind, probably, definitely. If you're sighted, maybe not. It just depends. But it's okay. It's only pumpkin roll gunk, and it will wash off. Okay, I got it going a little better now. So what I'm going to do, again, is I'm going to take this hold that paper really well because you don't want your parchment paper getting wrinkled or anything like that. And I'm going to give it a feel test. Could be a little bit better. I'm cheating. I'm kind of taking my finger at this point and spreading this out a little bit. My hands are clean. I washed them before I started, so we're all good. And yeah, we'll see how that looks. And Jen gave it a pretty good stamp of approval. She said she thinned out a little area of it, but for the most part, I got it. So that's good news. And I've already preheated the oven to 375 degrees. So I'm gonna put this pumpkin roll in the oven. Now, it can take anywhere from 13 to 15 or even 16 minutes, depending on your oven. I have a gas oven, and I find that they do better if they cook for around 14 minutes. Alexa, set timer for 14 minutes. And we have a 14-minute timer set, and we'll come back when it's time to take this out of the oven. All right, so it's been 14 minutes, and I just pulled this out, and touching in the center of it, I can tell that it's done because it springs back. So at this point, what we're going to do is very carefully pull this cake off of this cookie sheet. We're going to get the cookie sheet out of the way. And then we're going to go around the edges of this and kind of release the edges of the cake from the paper. If you're very careful, they'll lift right up. This actually might have been able to come out at 13 minutes, but it's going to be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So I'm just taking my fingers around the edges and releasing the edges of the paper. And now I'm going to turn it this way and kind of fold this paper up. And I am going to start to roll this pumpkin roll, and dang is it hot, up in this wax paper. Parchment paper. So at this point, make sure it's seam side down, which it is. And I am going to get a rack out and lay this on the rack. And once it cools off really good, we will come back and we will ice it. All right, so we've been making these suckers all afternoon, and we have a bunch of them done. And I just want to run through how we make the icing for our pumpkin rolls. The icing is basically just the cream cheese icing. It's really simple. It's 8 ounces of cream cheese. It's 6 tablespoons of salted butter is what I use. 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 cup of sifted powdered sugar. So let's get on it. So I'm going to start by putting an 8-ounce package of cream cheese into my stand mixer. Try not to touch it, but I want to get all the goodies out of it too. It's hard not to get cream cheese on your fingers. It's hard not to eat the cream cheese that you get on your fingers. That's the really rough part, but we got it in there. And now we're going to drop in 6 tablespoons of room temperature butter. Your cream cheese and your butter should be at room temperature. And I didn't set the stand mixer up over near the camera. I'm just going to head over to the stand mixer and I'm going to add this butter and cream cheese mixture in here. And I have the whisk attachment on and I'm going to whisk it on high for a minute or so just to fluff it up real good, and then we'll come back. And I have that out, and I have also added a cup of flour to my sifter. And I'm just going to sift this right into this bowl with this cream cheese and butter. That doesn't take very long at all. We've almost got it. You don't really have to spin it back and forth. I mean, spin it round and round. I just go back and forth with it, and it does just as good a job as it would if you sat here and twisted this thing over and over. So there is our 1 cup of powdered sugar. And finally, I'm just going to estimate and put about a teaspoon of vanilla in here. That's about what we need right there. And we're going to take it back over to the stand mixer. Throw her on here. Start it off on low so we don't throw powdered sugar everywhere. And we're going to let it mix for a minute or so, and then we'll scrape the bowl and let it do just a little bit more, and then we'll come back. And here's our icing. So Jen is a pro at icing these pumpkin rolls. So I'm going to go ahead and let her take over and ice one of these and show you how simple it is and all that good stuff. All right, so we are sitting here at the table with Jen, our expert pumpkin roll icing spreader, and she is going to show you how she does this. Jen, what's the idea behind it? What do you do?
I'm going to unroll it and then just start putting icing in the middle. Put a couple big globs in the middle.
And just so everybody knows, wrapping it up in this parchment paper, do you think it unrolls in the parchment paper just as easy as it does?
Unrolls
exactly. Use the towel and the powdered sugar?
Yep, exactly the same as it did with the powdered sugar and towel.
So she's putting a big old blob here in the middle.
Yep, and then I'm just going to spread it through.
And she has got it all covered in this wonderful icing. She's quick too. She did a job doing this. She's not getting paid by me. So now, Jen, how are you going to roll this up?
Just gonna turn it around and roll it long ways and just roll it as tight as I possibly can.
And she's just rolling the cake part now for those that can't see the video. She's not rolling the paper with it, just the cake with the filling in it.
And then it's rolled up, and as you can see, a little bit came out the side, but not much. And there it is.
And now she's gonna take and roll it up in the paper that we cooked it on. And this can be stored like this in the refrigerator for a few days. Always store seam side down. If you're going to store it for more than a few days, or if you're going to put it in the freezer, be sure to also wrap it up in foil So once you refrigerate it for an hour or so, you can put a little powdered sugar on top of it and serve it, and everybody will be happy, because I don't know anyone that doesn't like a good pumpkin roll. Anything to add, Jen?
Nope.
All right. And here is the finished product. You know, the holidays are all about spending time with your family and your friends and getting together and having wonderful meals and just great times of fellowship with one another. And I'm very thankful for my family, my friends. And when I say my friends, that's including you all, my viewers, as well. No matter what you have going on in your life right now, there's always something to be thankful for. So I want you to leave me a comment and give me one thing that you are thankful for. Also, if you try out this recipe, leave me a comment and let me know how it turns out. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends, and click on the subscribe button so that you can be notified when new content is available. God bless, and hope you all have a great holiday season.